Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about what really shapes the human family. And, it's a story that goes way beyond just simple biology.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a huge question. When we're talking about one of life's biggest decisions, having kids, what's actually pulling the strings? Is it our deep-seated biological programming, or is it the world we've built around ourselves?
So, to even begin to understand this, we've got to separate two big ideas: our biological blueprint versus what we actually do out in the real world.
Okay, and this is the absolute key distinction we need to make. On one side, we have fecundity. That's the biological potential to have kids. On the other side is fertility, which is the actual performance, the number of kids that are born. It's potential versus performance. Simple as that.
So, think about fecundity like, well, it's your maximum potential score in a game. It's the biological hardware you're born with. It's really just a yes or no question. Do you have the capacity or not? Fertility, though, that's the actual score on the board. It's not about what could happen, it's about what did happen. It's the number we can actually count and see, the one that tells the real story. Okay, so let's talk about our biological clock for a second. Think of it this way. Our biology sets the stage, but it definitely doesn't write the whole script. So our biology gives us a pretty clear timeline, right? It kicks off with menarche, which in India, on average, is around 13.8 years, and it pretty much wraps up with menopause. That creates this very specific, finite window of time when having kids is biologically possible. Okay, but here's where it gets really, really interesting. This is where our social world just grabs that biological script and starts rewriting the whole thing. It gets messy and fascinating. I mean, just look at this. Simple things, right? The age we get married, how much education we get, whether we live in a city or the countryside, women's careers, every single one of these has a massive impact on birth rates. It's amazing how our choices can literally stretch or shrink that biological window. And this idea is captured perfectly in a theory called social capillarity. Basically, it says that the drive to climb the social ladder often means people choose to have smaller families. It's a trade-off, really. Family size for a certain lifestyle or social standing.
And then there's the whole economic angle, which is huge. You can ask the question, is having a child an economic plus or minus? In some situations, kids are seen as an investment, maybe for labor or security in old age, which pushes fertility up. In others, they're seen as a cost, which pushes fertility down. All right, so these aren't just ideas floating around in a textbook. These social and economic forces create completely different worlds, not just between countries, but sometimes within the very same country.
Let's zoom out and look at the whole world for a second. The total fertility rate, or TFR, basically the average number of kids a woman has. And look at the difference. In parts of sub-Saharan Africa, it can be over 5. Then you look at developed countries, and it's way down, sometimes below 2. Now that number, 2.1, that's the magic number. That's the replacement level needed to keep a population stable. And you can see a lot of countries are falling below that now, which is a really big deal for their future.
And here's the headline. India, as a whole, has now officially dipped below that critical number. The national average is 2.0. I mean, that is a massive, massive shift for a country that size, and it's going to reshape its future for decades. But wait, that national number? It hides the real story. This is where it gets wild. Just look at this chart. In a state like Bihar, the TFR is 3.0, way above replacement. But then you go over to Kerala, and it's down to 1.8. It just goes to show you how powerful these local social factors really are. And we see the exact same story playing out between rural and urban areas. Out in the countryside, the rate is about 2.3. But in the cities, it plummets to 1.6. It's just this perfect, stark picture of how things like careers, education, and lifestyle are totally changing what a modern family looks like. Okay, so to bring this all home, it turns out that the exact same forces that shape birth, biology, society, our environment, they also shape life's other great bookend, death. Mortality isn't just some random event. Just like fertility, we can actually measure it. It's the frequency of death in a population, and it tells us so much about what life is like for those people. And that story is what we call biocultural. Of course, our biology, our age, our genetics, that all plays a role. But so does our social situation, like our class and our job, and even the world right outside our door, the air we breathe and the water we drink.
So, all of this leaves us with one final and pretty profound question. Our biological hardware, right? It's ancient, it's evolved over millions of years. But our social software, our cultures, our economies, that stuff is changing faster than ever. So, as that gap gets wider, how is it going to keep reshaping the fundamental story of human life? What will our families even look like a generation from now?